thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your two businesses just to have a quick chat with us about your experience of RAW, what it's meant for you as a business, and any thoughts to share with obviously anybody that'll be watching. How long have you been with us now? How long have you been a franchise?
So April last year, so just over a year.
Happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
What generated your interest initially in setting up a franchise of preschool gymnastics in a CrossFit gym?
Ooh, to be honest, probably like a lot of boxes, a lot of businesses, like the whole post-COVID, everyone's trying to generate more income. I think having run a gym for a while, you've always got that time in the day that you're trying to fill. And I've heard of, business doing all sorts of things to try and fill those hours. Like most affiliate owners, lots of emails in the inboxes from different companies, but the kids one stuck out because I'd seen a few other people who talked positively about it. We've got two Raw Kids Gymnastics quite close to where I'm based, so that made it quite easy to reach out to those.
Yeah.
They were so positive that it seemed like a no-brainer to at least inquire.
So you are. I always forget that we've got our hub of Portsmouth gyms. It's lovely.
Yeah,
Side. I remember when we started talking to you on looking at the postcodes and making sure it could be successful for three gyms, which it's that differentiator, isn't it? Because the pool of kids is tighter than what it could be typically for a CrossFit gym from that side. Cool. So
yeah,
how does your franchise run? Because what obviously I know as running Raw is we have two quite different camps of franchises. We have ones that are owner coach, so the owner takes it on, coaches it, and runs it. And then we have what I'd call owner managed. So you invest in the franchise, you start the setup, but then somebody else runs it for you. Which camp are you in?
definitely more the second. Yeah, I've probably like a lot of business owners, I try to, well, not try to, but I wear a lot of hats to try and, you know, keep everything going. And I didn't really want the responsibility of coaching all the classes as well as kind of overseeing and doing the admin.
Mhm.
So I've been really lucky that one of my girls, Laura, who's great, who does a lot of my social media, she takes care of a lot of the social media for Raw. Um, I was also really lucky that herself and one of the girls who's a member was also keen on coaching.
Okay.
So they've done all the coaching since. I've obviously over the year gone through a bit of a recruitment process in terms of bringing on more coaches. Um, but yeah, quite frankly, it would have, if I'd have had to do the coaching, that might have been a bit of a game changer for me. I've got nothing
Yeah.
against kids or anything like that, and it's
Yeah.
lovely seeing them come in. I've taught CrossFit Kids for like 10 years, but just in terms of time, it's just too much commitment. Which,
Yeah.
to be honest, is one of the benefits of me, that I can oversee this stuff, and know that it's making progress and it's working without having to fully immerse myself.
Perfect. Cool. And that's one of the things that we hope from when we set up. Obviously, we still run Raw Rotherham out of HQ, and that was the big pull for me when I got involved in the business right at the start. Was that I didn't want to have to do another job, but I was prepared to put in the 6 to 12 months investment of my time to get it to a point where I could do the dream of just taking dividends and have somebody else run it for me from that side, which
Yeah,
is how I would like it for all of our franchises ultimately, is that it can be ran by somebody else in your gym and you just take a passive income from it from that side. Um,
yeah,
have you just recruited, Matt, from memory? Because I know you had somebody on training recently.
yeah. Probably the last 3 or 4 months, we've brought
Okay.
on two new coaches. We've had one leave who, it was never going to be a forever job. So she left, and luckily gave us enough time to recruit someone else. And they've been great. And to be honest, there's benefits in having. We've got one more coach than we had before. We had two, now we've got
Yeah.
three, which really helps with things like cover.
Yeah.
Both of my two out of my three coaches are both students. So when it comes to exams and other things, like, they're really good at helping each other out.
Awesome.
Um, and I was pretty impressed actually, because having run CrossFit Fareham for 13 years, I've been really lucky with coaches in that most of them have been members who've just kind of graduated into
Yeah.
coaching. I've never had to recruit externally. Whereas with Raw, it wasn't that easy the second time round. And then it wasn't until I spoke to Amy about using Indeed and going down a more kind of formal route to recruit. And there was so many people, 20 candidates within
Yeah.
first 10 days. So it really took the pressure off me thinking, oh my God, how am I going to, start again?
Yeah, it's one of the biggest questions we get asked when we speak to people, or I suppose one of the biggest objections to starting RAW is that I don't have a coach in mind, because that's the CrossFit mentality, isn't it? I know,
Yeah.
same for me with CrossFit Rotherham. People have come through and identified themselves as coaches because of that love of CrossFit, whereas you're not going to have a 5-year-old that goes, "Hey, I'd love to do this." And interesting that you said students. I mean, if I look at our Saturday and Sunday staff in Rotherham, well, one of them is my daughter, who is a student, and then the other 3 are all 18 at uni, and they're great. And I think there's sometimes a bit of a stigma, dare I say that, as the parent to 2 18-year-olds, but actually they're committed. They come in and do the job, and then off they go. And then you can have that kind of other person overseeing it, and then doing the social, and obviously generating the leads from that side. You mentioned Amy there. So obviously I know that Amy is your coach. You only get me on the joys of these kind of videos. How have you found the whole training process and the business coaching side of being a Raw franchise owner?
Good. I've got to say that the level of support is, even though I'm not the sort of person to kind of reach out all the time, whenever I need to, she's really good at getting back to me. I think I referred to her as the Oracle in our last message exchange. Um, but yeah, especially the recruitment. I mean, that was a point where I was like really starting to panic, because I had 2 coaches lined up who'd accepted the job, who both then decided they didn't want it a day before they were supposed to start. So it's quite a stressful time. Luckily that I've avoided anything like that in the last 13 years. So it did catch me off guard. And Amy was great. She was like, this happens all the time. Get back on Indeed, start, getting in contact with the other candidates. And to be honest, the girl that I took on instead, maybe a week or 2 later, I think is a much better fit. So
Yeah,
you have to take these things on the chin, but it does really help having someone giving you a little stroke on the back saying it's going to be okay. You're not the first person to have this problem.
yeah, and hopefully, well, it might come before or after. You might have obviously got a beautiful new recruitment area in our Learn platform with your contracts in there, your interviews, videos, etc. from that side. But I agree. I'm quite a big believer in fate and karma, and I think if something goes wrong the first time, it's because there's something better coming in terms of your
Yeah.
coaches. And again, at Raw Rotherham, we've had the exact same experience where we've been let down. Obviously, then Amy and I support each other from that side, but you can get to that resolution. So I suppose finally, I mean, again, thank you very, very, very much for your time. What would you say to anybody in CrossFit thinking about starting a Raw franchise? Like, is it worth it? Because it is
Yeah.
effectively setting up another business.
100%. I think as long as you do as you're told, and that is one thing that you guys said to me from the beginning, is you've done this, you've made the mistakes, now you have a process and a system to get it right.
Yeah,
It sounds like common sense, but I can see why some people, verge off in a different direction.
yeah,
But if you use the platform, like you said, there's a ton of information, people on the phone, and just follow the steps. It's 100% worth it. And I'm not so stubborn that if it hadn't worked after 6 months or a year, I would have just stopped. I've done stuff like this before, not exactly the same nature, and it's not worked out, which does make you think, is it worth trying? But
yeah.
yeah, 100% was just, at least inquire and get all your questions answered, and reach out to myself or, other people that are doing it. That's all I did.
Yeah,
They're,
I
they're the
agree.
people,
Yeah,
they're the people that are going to give it to you. So
yeah. No, perfect. Matt, you are a superstar. Thank you very, very much for your time.
you're
And
welcome.
it is coming soon. We are going to have that Raw franchise weekend meetup. It is coming. It's on our radar. So
I hope so.
yeah, can have everything. Cool. Right. Thank you very much.